Hey everyone, welcome back to Lashing Out and Nailing Life. I'm your host Emma, and today it's just me. Jade wasn't able to join me for today's episode because life has been incredibly busy for both of us lately. But don't worry, we'll be back together for our next episode with a fun sit, sip, and yap. We have a lot of fun updates to share with you guys, so I'm really excited about that one. In the meantime, I wanted to make sure we got an episode out because consistency is really important to us and it's something we talk about a lot. So today we're switching things up a little and having a one-on-one chat. For this episode, I really wanted to go over building your own business from the beginning. There's a lot of weird little things that I feel like I didn't even find out until after I had technically started my business, and I'm sure we'll do a similar episode like this down the line as mine and Jade's business grow, but I really wanted to kind of do a basics beginner guide to opening your own salon studio or small business. If you've ever thought about starting your own business, or maybe you've already started one and you're feeling really overwhelmed, this episode is for you. I feel like social media has made entrepreneurship look really glamorous. We see people posting the aesthetic offices, the I quit my 9-to-5 videos, and the I went from not booked to fully booked calendars. But what we don't see is the paperwork, the taxes, the budgeting, the mistakes, the many sleepless nights, and all of the behind the scenes work that actually keeps a business running. I've been self-employed for over 3 years now, and I can confidently say there are so many things I wish someone had sat down and explained before I started. Now, before we jump in, I do want to mention that I'm not an attorney, accountant, or financial advisor. This episode is based on my personal experience as a small business owner, and laws vary drastically depending on where you live. So always do your own research or talk to a professional when you're making legal or financial decisions, but I do hope that this episode can help you out. With that out of the way, let's get into it. One of the biggest misconceptions is that starting a business begins with filing paperwork, and it really doesn't. It starts with answering a few really important questions, so get a notepad and write these down. Why are you starting this business? Is it because you're passionate about it? Do you want more freedom? Do you want more financial independence? Are you just tired of your current job? None of these answers are wrong, but knowing your why matters because it'll come back to you when those hard days hit. Then ask yourself, who are your ideal clients? What problems are you solving? What makes your business different? Because if your answer is simply, I want to make money, that is not enough. Businesses grow by solving problems for people. Before you spend a single dollar or more dollars, ask yourself if there's actually a demand for what you're offering. This applies to all small businesses. We know as beauty professionals that our services are typically always needed, but just because you love doing something doesn't automatically mean people are willing to pay for it. You need to research your market, look at your competitors, identify where you can stand out, and make sure there's a need for your product or services. Specifically for the beauty industry, even if you're just doing nails or just doing hair or just doing skin, figure out what makes you different. Do you like to provide longer massages? Is there a point of focus that your clients appreciate? Even if it's something small, like a good head shampoo. There are lots of things as business owners we find little or maybe even something clients would find tedious, but you'll be surprised how many people are looking for those things and how many of those will set you apart. When I started, I didn't know I was going to be in the throes of helping people regrow their nails from nothing, but I did know I wanted to focus on natural nail health since that was something I saw was lacking in my community. Jade recently has started using UV lashes. I mean, I guess it's not recently anymore. We're halfway through the year. But she's specifically using an adhesive that is 99% allergen free. She saw there was a need for low chemical and low allergy causing products in the lash industry and in her community. So that's another good example to think about. Once you have your idea, now it's time to make it official. One of the first questions people often ask is, should I get an LLC? And the answer is, maybe. An LLC can provide liability protection, but it isn't automatically the right choice for everyone. Some people start as sole proprietors before forming an LLC. The best option depends on your situation, state, legalities, so it's worth talking to an accountant or an attorney who understands small businesses. I highly recommend an accountant since you'll probably be needing them in the future. When I started my business, I knew I wanted to keep as much of my business separate from me and my own finances. So having an LLC provided me a little bit more protection, but it also allowed me to do things like create an official business bank account, which depending on your state or the bank you want to use, being an LLC might be required for you to open a business bank account. But as far as starting out, if it's overwhelming you, most states give you kind of a grace period where they understand that you're figuring things out in your first year. So even if it's halfway through the year and you decide to start an LLC, as long as you are just you and don't have any partners, you should be fine. You'll also want to look into things like registering your business name. So if you're going to use a different name than what's registered on your LLC, so a doing business as name. You'll also want to look into if you're going to need an EIN. You'll definitely need to talk to an accountant about that one. You'll also need to look into sales tax license for retail products and business licenses as required by your city or state. So I know that in our city, Parker, you have to have a separate business license from any state-required business licenses. You'll also want to obtain any other licenses or permits your state or city requires, which of course, again, varies by state or city. You'll also want to look into business insurance, such as liability and fire protection, or any other protection depending on what your risks are, again, in your city or state. Both of these I find really important because you just never know what could happen, and they're pretty affordable if you go down the right path. You'll also want to understand local and state tax requirements, so when you need to file quarterly for sales taxes and federal and state taxes as well. One thing I don't think is talked about enough is do not mix your personal and business finances. Even if your business is tiny or just starting out or just making a few $100s, you want to separate them from day one. You'll want to open a dedicated business checking account, and if you can't get an official business bank account for whatever the reason may be, at least open a separate checking account where all of your business money will pour into. If possible, get a business credit card that you only use for business purchases. It makes bookkeeping easier and it makes tax season way easier, especially if you're doing a lot of the bookkeeping yourself. It also helps you understand how your business is actually performing because you get to see the breakdown of your expenses versus what you're making. Now for a part that overwhelms almost everyone. Taxes. Nobody wants to talk about taxes, but ignoring them doesn't make them go away. One of the biggest surprises for new business owners is realizing that the money sitting in your business account isn't all yours to spend. A portion of it, sadly, belongs to taxes. One habit that can save you a lot of stress is setting aside a percentage of every payment you receive in a separate savings account that's reserved for taxes. The exact percentage depends on your situation, so that's something to discuss with a tax professional at least for your first year. I personally love having an accountant every year, but if you're quick on your feet and you love to learn, then sometimes just having them for the first year is all you really need. Another thing you need to know is learning the difference between revenue and profit. Just because your business brought in $100,000 doesn't mean you made $100,000. You have expenses, supplies, insurance, rent, education, any subscriptions or software or equipment, any paid marketing, traveling, continuing education. I could literally go on. All of those costs add up. I'd also recommend creating a budget. Know what your fixed monthly expenses are, so rent, necessary restock, things that you have to have in order to run your business, health insurance, etc. Know what your variable expenses are, so things that you purchase more sporadically and anything that maybe you don't have to purchase every month. Know how much money you actually need your business to make every month just to break even, because understanding your numbers takes away a lot of the fear because you're making decisions based on facts instead of guesses. Also, at the end of every month, because you should be filling this out, your report at the end of every month, you'll also get to actually see what your profit and losses are, which can sometimes either take away anxiety for if you feel like you had a slower month or show you what you need to work on. Maybe you need to bring in more clients, or maybe it's time for you to close your books. Just little things like that. This next tip is especially for my beauty professionals, but it still applies to almost every industry. So please, don't feel like you need every new thing, every trendy product, viral tool, shiny piece of equipment. Society is designed to make us feel like we're behind, and social media is the marketing team. But the truth is, the best artists usually aren't the ones that own the most products. They're the ones who know how to use what they already have. When you're starting out, buy quality over quantity. Research products, read reviews, take education before buying expensive supplies. And don't be afraid to spend a little more money on products that directly impact your client's experience or safety. We talk about that a lot. A lot of times buying cheaper options ends up costing you more in the long run. I could probably do a whole episode on the brands I used to use when I started and the brands that I use now, but that would be a lot of tea, and legally, I don't know if that's the best thing to do for me. The next topic I want to talk about is marketing. Marketing is one of my favorite topics because it's so underused correctly, I guess. Marketing isn't just posting pretty pictures. Marketing is your branding. It's your website. It's your client experience, your reviews, your reputation, your communication, your consistency. Every interaction someone has with your business is marketing. I want you to sit back and think about your favorite business. I'll give you a few seconds to really think about it. Why do you keep going back? It's probably because they made you feel something. That's what good marketing does. It builds trust before someone ever even books with you. Don't sleep on social media or any form of marketing because it seems overwhelming. Do some research. Take some time to figure out the kind of content you want to make so it doesn't feel overwhelming or crazy or like a second job all the time. Creating content especially can be difficult. Do I want to post content as much as I have to? No, but sometimes I do create stuff I'm genuinely proud of. And again, think quality over quantity. You don't just want to post 5 posts every single day, all the time, hoping that something sticks. You might be able to get away with that in the beginning, but once you start figuring out your algorithm and marketing strategies, you definitely want to pull back and do things intentionally, which if you're new here is our word of the year. Another important tip would be to create your systems earlier. Have a booking process, have cancellation policies, know how you want to communicate with clients, and keep organized records. If you have the money, invest in a scheduling software. These can all grow and evolve with your business, but having those baselines in place does make it easier to add more or transition to things that are more in-depth later. The less time you spend running around every day, mentally or physically, the more time you'll have to actually grow or just enjoy your business. Now for some things that I think everyone needs to hear. You will make mistakes. Some of them will cost you money. That's okay. Every successful business owner has made mistakes. You're going to lose clients. Sometimes they'll move. Sometimes they'll find someone closer or cheaper / more affordable. Sometimes you're simply not the right fit anymore. Not every client is your ideal client, and that's okay. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You're seeing someone who's putting their best foot forward, not the years of work that they've already done to get there. And remember that burnout is real. Working yourself into the ground isn't a badge of honor. Take care of yourself, set those boundaries, have days off, and keep learning. Ask questions, and remember, building a business isn't about one giant breakthrough. It's about showing up consistently over and over and over again. So, what did you learn today about starting a business? I hope this episode gave you a more realistic picture of what goes on behind the scenes. Starting a business can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to know everything on day one. You just have to be willing to keep learning, evolving, and pivoting when needed. I hope you enjoyed today's solos episode with me. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love it if you shared it with a friend who's thinking about starting a business, or let us know in the comments what you wish someone had told you before starting a business. And if you're someone who's starting a business, let me know if I told you anything that you didn't already know, or let me know if you already knew all of this and you wish I had talked about something else. I want to add that if you want to dive deeper into marketing, branding, or being active on social media, I have created a beginner-friendly marketing guide that covers the fundamentals of branding, attracting local, real clients, and building a strong foundation for your business. If today's episode resonated with you or you're looking for a few extra tips, I think you'll really benefit from it. I also made it extremely affordable because I know starting out can be expensive. And before I let you go, don't forget that Jade and I are planning our business event for this October. We're really excited to bring together entrepreneurs, beauty professionals, and business owners for a day filled with education, networking, inspiration, and real conversations about what it's actually like to build a successful business. The links for both of those will be in the description as usual. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Lashing Out and Nailing Life if you're not already doing so you don't miss out on any updates for the event, future episodes, or behind-the-scenes content. Thank you so much for listening to Lashing Out and Nailing Life. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, every successful business started with someone who simply decided to begin. We'll see you in the next episode, and next time Jade will be back for our Sit, Sip, and Yap. Bye!